Hello, parents. This is Mr. Walls here, and hello, students. This is the lesson that we learned this week. I want to encourage the parents to sit your students down and make sure they have all the notes from this week's lesson so that when there is a test, they are prepared. This week, we learned about being a videographer, and this is a live recording. Enjoy. All right, let's go. Evan, what does the word characteristic mean? Things about them. Mr. D, add to it. What does that mean? Characteristics.
Right. Yeah. So you need to know your characteristics of yourself, but you know it's good because you record somebody. You need to make sure it's perfect.
Okay. Okay. You went more into detail on this. That's good. Okay. So, what are some of the characteristics of a camera person, Victoria? You saw it coming, didn't you? Yeah. Being quiet. Okay. Blue.
Being still. So you don't take the camera.
Being still. Curtis.
Making the camera eye level.
Making the camera eye level. Kaden.
Knowing how to work the camera.
Knowing how to work the camera. Jacob.
Listening to the audio and make sure everything is good.
Listening to the audio and making sure everything is good. Chris. Magno.
Him being able to pay attention to when to start and stop.
Being able to pay attention and knowing when to start and stop. All of those are characteristics. The list can go on and on and on of a camera person. Okay? A camera person is also known, write this down, as a videographer. Videographer. Videogra. Somebody finish the rest.
GRAPHER.
Smart people. Spell it for her, Jacob.
VIDEOGRAPHER.
One more time. She's not that fast.
VIDEOGRAPHER.
You got it? I'll show it to you in a second. It's on my notes. There it is. Videographer.
Yeah, I know, but when you tell me how to make a videographer.
Oh. Okay. So, as a videographer slash editor, that's kind of the mindset you guys have to go with this. As a videographer slash editor, it's just as important for you to tell the story when creating a report. No. It's just as important for you to tell the story when creating a report. I'll tell you what to write, okay? The shots you choose are setting the mood and telling a story for the viewer. So here's what you're going to write. The shots you choose sets the story. Or the shots you choose paints the picture. The shots you choose paints the picture. So you're an artist and you're painting a picture. So the shots you choose paint the picture. It tells the story. It sets the mood. Okay? All right. Let's take about 20 seconds. At your table, I want you to discuss this. When you see a close-up on TV, what is it typically used for to represent? When you see a close-up, so if I had a close-up on Riley on TV, when you see that, talk with your table and discuss about 20 seconds. What does that represent when you see a close-up?
Something very important happening.
All right. Table 3. What's your response? That's you guys. Where Luke's at.
You should get like hang thingies in the sky if everyone know it.
What's your response? Dramatic. Okay. Table 6. That's you guys.
Oh, I said that it's trying to like show you something like say you have like 3 different people, but they have it like not very close, but then they zoom in on like one person's face. I feel like you're just trying to show you that person.
Okay.
Who they're talking about.
Okay. Table 4. That's right here. Okay. Okay. Table 1.
Something very important is happening.
Something very important is happening. So, you know this. So now I want you to apply this when you're filming. Okay? So, when you do a wide shot, what does that mean? Anyone? Wide shot.
They're trying to show what is in the background.
What's in the background?
It's just like general information.
General information. General information.
Showing like the surroundings.
The surroundings. Yes, sir.
Showing what all is happening.
What's happening? Huh? You're congratulating him? All right. Rah rah. Yes. Showing something from a safe distance. Okay? What if I said extreme wide? What does that represent? A scenery. Yes, Chris.
You're trying to actually show something.
You're trying to show something. Bailey.
You're trying to like kind of like what he said, like you're trying to show what's happening right now. Well, not right now.
I think so. Okay.
Okay.
A wide shot, an extreme wide. Write this down. A wide shot or an extreme wide shot. It also represents a lot of what they said, but it also represents the ending. Something is ending or something is beginning. So, usually in a video, they end the video with a wide shot. In a movie, they start the movie on an extreme wide to establish where things are happening.
What's
Huh? You forgot what I just said?
yes.
Okay, so this is all you have to write. A wide shot or an extreme wide shot is usually the closing shot. It's the closing shot, or it's the beginning shot. It's the start of the video. So I got a question for you. Should I use a wide shot on a report the entire time?
No.
Why?
Because you just said
Because I said not to?
No,
Yeah.
because it's not really showing what she's
you just want to break it. You just said you have to break it down.
Okay. What were you trying to say?
not really showing.
You're not showing anything. Okay? Especially if your reporter is the main focus. If you leave it on a wide shot, am I going to be focused on your reporter or the stuff around your reporter? Okay? So that's why it's important to choose your location and choose your shots wisely because you're telling a story. Okay? Your location and your shots go hand in hand. When I filmed this with Kate, I knew what shots I wanted. I knew what camera movements I wanted. Did you guys see the slow zoom in the beginning? So when Kaylee Malik was backing out, I could have said, just back out the shot and then everybody won't see you. Okay. I had her to back out slowly, but I also zoomed in to Kate Slinker. Those are movements that we will work on, okay? If you know how to do those, then do them. But make sure you know how to do them first. So your location is important. Luke, why is the location important?
It shows where you're at.
It shows where you're at, okay? But why else is it important?
It's in your shot.
It's in your shot, okay?
Because if you're in like a really crappy location, like if you're sitting in a bathroom, everybody's gonna be like, "What are you doing?" and be like, think that you're crazy or something. Like that'd just be weird.
Okay.
I don't know.
Why else is your? I want to see if I want you guys to think about this. Why is your location important?
You could have good lighting and background noise if there is background noise.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a few more things that I'm trying to drive home. Riley.
It could be like really good for your topic, if the location works.
Absolutely. So if it's bad, if it's not a good location for what they're talking about, why would you film it? If it does not match what they're talking about, why film it?
I don't know.
You won't. It's just common sense.
Common sense ain't common anymore.
Oh, okay. True.
So listen, when you guys go out and film, Bailey, don't just pick a spot. Oh, this is good. We're going to film here. You should plan out your spot before you film there. I knew what the topic was for this week. So I knew when I had to show y'all this, I said, okay, I'm going to have Kate be my anchor or my reporter, and I'm going to take her in there in the studio and film against the green screen. I knew that already. Okay? Pick your location accordingly. Yes, Bailey.
So like, is it like extra points if we like use if we do like the green screen properly, like really good? Like,
We'll talk about that in a second. Okay? Yes, sir. Huh? Say that again? Are you still writing? Oh, you were still writing all of that? Oh. It just says it's just a question. A lot of these are points for me, and I just put my notes on the screen so y'all can see it. I tell you what to write. Okay. Ma'am, can you hurry up and get it together? Thank you.
No, you said yours good.
All right. The responsibility of the editor is to make sure they have the vision, the plan for the report. The responsibility of the editor is to make sure you have the vision and plan of the report. You should write that. The responsibility of the editor is to make sure you have the vision and the plan for the report. Why? Why?
So you know what you're doing before you actually do it?
Absolutely. How many of you, don't answer, but just think about it. It's a time for reflection. How many of you, the last 2 weeks for your reports, if you were the editor, had no idea what your partner was going to do, and you just showed up and pressed record and brought the footage back? Don't answer. Just think about it. That's the worst place to be in. Pre-production is the most important phase. Write that down. Pre-production is the most important phase. Pre-production is the most important phase. If your planning phase sucks and is not good, the rest of your production is going to show up and it's going to reflect what your planning phase looked like. Okay? After the reporter comes up with the script for the report, the editor has to come up with the creative visuals and sounds to drive the message home for the viewers. So I had to meet with Kate, figure out what she was talking about, and have a plan, have a vision in my head or on paper as to what I'm going to do. I knew exactly what I was going to do before I started editing. I knew what backgrounds I wanted. I knew I wanted to change the background. I knew that when Kaylee Mallett came in on the scene, that I wanted a cop style scene. I knew that. I knew that I wanted a sound effect so that you knew that she represents a cop. Because we didn't have time to go buy costumes and all that stuff. So you knew when you saw her, besides her saying what she said, you knew her role in that report. You didn't have to try to figure that out. I helped you out to know that because of the visuals and because of the sound effects and because of what she said. If you were confused as to what she was doing, something's wrong. Okay? So if you plan all that stuff early, after you meet with the reporter because they've written their script, I'm telling you, it makes life easier. And you can be very creative with it because you can think of what you want to add into the report. You don't have to say, well, I'm waiting for them to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Write this down. Write your script at home. Write your script at home. So if you're the editor and the videographer slash, which is also known as camera operator, if that's your role, you better keep your partner accountable. I told Kate, I need you to have that script ready by X, Y, and Z. Guess what? It was done by X, Y, and Z. I use X, Y, and Z as an example. It's Thursday, I told her, if you want to know exact. Okay? Shh. Thank you. She came in ready to film. She didn't come in saying, I still got to write my script. Are you kidding me? You only have 3 days for recording and editing. Write your script at home, guys. Okay? Question. As the editor, write down some visuals. Hold on. I lost my point. Here's the question, all right? And you can answer this on your sheet of paper. As the editor, with these visuals, how do you actually, for the Bill of Rights, so you know the topic this week is Bill of Rights. How do you help the viewers to understand the points about the Bill of Rights as the editor? How do you help, if I was watching your report, how do you help me understand? Write it down, don't answer. How do you help me understand? What would you do? Maybe.
Yes.
You're not giving me no ideas. I only tell you what I know you will probably see on a test. So how do you tell the story? What do you do? Just write it. We'll talk about it later. I want you to write it so that you can remember it. Write and listen. I'm going to talk to you while you're writing. The reason a videographer is typically the editor for the report is because they have to know what shots, visual elements will drive the report home to the viewers. So, when you go out into the news world, the camera guy who's with that reporter that you see out there on the sidewalk because they're talking about a story about something that happened in the community, that camera guy is also her editor. She may be editing her package too, but usually whoever that camera person is, majority of the time, that's her editor. That person needs to know what is happening. So that's why they're the editor. The editor is not usually a person sitting at the studio waiting for footage. That don't happen too much anymore. You probably used to back in the day, but they've trimmed down the way news is done now. They don't need that many people anymore. 1 minute, okay? Please listen. I want you to tell the LHMS viewers, the student body, and anyone who watches your report about the Bill of Rights. Mr. Walsh, they already know about the Bill of Rights. We already learned that in class. Okay? Please don't assume anything. Okay? You have 1 minute for this report. There are 10 Bill of Rights. So pick something to drive it home. What are the main points that you want to drive home?
Freedom of speech.
Okay?
Right to bear arms.
Shh. Just, I want you to start thinking of that. I need you to share it out loud. Okay? Don't forget you need your slate. That's 5 seconds. Okay? Here are some tips. I've already started saying some of these tips, but I'm going to repeat them for those who wasn't listening the first time. Again, don't assume that everyone understands and know what you're talking about. Oh, everybody already heard that. We learned that in class the other day. But what could you do to drive it home? The teacher taught the lesson, but how could you make it more interesting? Okay? Yes.
Like give them more details about it. Like say the teacher gives like just simply saying, oh, and this person made it. You could be like why they made it, when did they make it, and like how did they make it? How did it happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can make it comical. You could do a skit. You saw what we did. We did a skit. You could do a skit. Okay? You want to make it something people will remember. Make it something people will remember. Time your partner. I see your hand. Give me a second. Time your partner. So that means if Shantae's my partner, I'm going to sit down with Shantae and time her out as she say the report in front of me. So get a little stopwatch, use your phone, whatever you need to use to make sure it's a minute. And give that person feedback so they know what they need to do. Don't wait to get in front of the camera and do this. Too late. Okay? So time out your partner. Make sure your partner has good pitch, tone, and tempo. Good pitch, tone, and tempo. If they don't, help them. Okay? Use the correct emotions through the entire report. What does that mean, Curtis? Correct emotion through the entire report. You want some help? Nick.
It's like don't have like a different mood. Or like don't like be really happy and then be sad.
Okay. So if it's a sad report, like let's say you're doing a memorial report on 9/11. You want people to remember what happened in 9/11. Okay. You need to be not totally sad, but you don't want to be like, oh, a bunch of people died. No, like, doesn't work that way. Okay? So make sure you have the correct emotion. As the editor and videographer, it's your job to make sure you choose a perfect location to film. I went over that already. Setting up the studio lights. I need to talk about this because some of you are making this mistake. All right. When you go in there and you're using the green screen, and I know I'm probably going to have to record this and give you a video that you can watch at home. When you record in front of the green screen, your recorder should be 10 feet away from the wall. 10 feet away from the wall. Okay? So they should be to the. If you're that black desk that's in there, they should be at this end of that black desk. So if they're facing this way, that's the camera. That black desk, the end of that black desk, I should be able to touch it, right? If I lean on it, okay? That's where your recorder should be. Your camera should be placed where the shelf, there's a shelf, there are 2 shelves in there, right? And then there is a softbox light that is pointing towards the new set we just got in here, okay? If your camera is between that light and the shelf, you're in the right spot. If you're not there, you're in the wrong spot. Last but not least, when it comes to the green screen, you only need 2 of the harsh lighting. You only need 2 of the harsh lighting. They're the 2 that should be in front of your camera. One should be on this side by the shelf, and the other one should be on this side in front of the soft box lighting that is aiming towards the new set. Okay? If you set up like that all the time, you won't have problems with your green screen. You also need to make sure the fluorescent lights are on. What are fluorescent lights?
The white lights.
Hold on, man. Yes, sir. Right here. Yeah. Okay. You had your hand up earlier. I'm sorry. Okay. Write them down. I'm so sorry. Okay. If you use the black desk, say you tell your reporter, sit at this desk, we're going to use this desk. Okay. If you sit there, you can use all 3 lights, all 3 of the harsh lights. Okay. And when I say they're called harsh lights because they're so bright. If you haven't realized it, when you turn them on, and if you just look up, don't do this, but if you happen to look up and you turn the lights on, they can blind you because they're really bright. They're called harsh lights. All right. You can turn all 3 of them on along with the fluorescent lights. Okay. You technically only need 2 of them, but I've seen people use all 3 along with the fluorescent lights, and it's not bad lighting. Okay. Leave when you use that desk. Leave the lights where they are. Okay. When you're using the green screen, the light that is more closer to the wall. Okay. So I'm standing here. That's the camera. There's a light that's aimed for the black desk. There's a light that's aimed for the black desk. You need to move that out of the way. When you use the black desk, you need to put it on one of the spots, one of the X's that's in there. Okay? Focus on it, please. Put it on that. Okay? And that way your lighting is good. When you're using the new set, you need to use the softbox lights. Those are the bigger lights that are in there. They're not so harsh. They're called soft box. Or soft boxes, because they're free. Okay? Anytime you're filming in there, you need the fluorescent lights on. Leave them on. The new desk, the green screen, or the old desk, leave the fluorescent lights on. Okay? Make sure on the new desk you have all 3 lights on. All right? Always white balance. Make sure you have headphones. Check your equipment before you leave the room. Okay, I need to change this in my notes. But if you have 2 to 3, if you're 2 to 3 seconds over, like for example, when I was recording Kate, we timed her and she was a minute when we timed her. But then we started recording, and then I brought it in here to edit the footage. She was a minute and 4 seconds without the slate. So if she would have had a slate, she was going to be over time. It's better to have more than less. A lot of you've been saying, if I put a transition in there, is it going to make it longer? No. Okay? But if you have more to the report, Soto, can you spit that out for me, please? Thanks for showing it to me. If you have more to the report, okay, you can cut that down. Okay? So when I say cut it down, in the pauses that the reporters make, you can take a blade and cut it down. All right? For example, I'll show you some of the cut downs I had to do. So I pressed B for blade. This is the blade tool. Okay. A for arrow. If you don't know these things, you should have wrote them down. B for blade, A for arrow. but I'm going to show you my timeline and where I bladed at. There's a blade point right here. This is a blade point. I bladed that. Okay? That means she paused, and I was able to take out that pause. So she said, and such 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 and such, and like that little small little pause, I bladed that part, took it out, and you never knew she paused that long. So now I gave myself the correct time. So I took those little pieces out so that I can be at 1 minute and 5 seconds. Here's something that I need to say, and it's probably going to be in one of my tips. Okay? I'm going to say this now before it gets too late. This says 31 seconds and what? 20 what? No. Frames per second. Okay? So, 31 seconds and 20 frames per second. I told you in the beginning, don't worry about the frames per second. Well, I found out after doing this even myself that you do have to worry about them. Okay? So I'm correcting myself. All right? To get this to be 1 minute and 5 seconds on the dot, it has to end with 00, which is frames per second. And you can do it. It's possible. It's not hard. I did it for you. So I told you not to worry about the first time. Now I tried it, and you can do it. Got it? Okay. So you could blade out pauses so that you could trim your time down. Change your camera shots. Change your background. If you're using the chroma, the green screen, change your background. You saw that I changed my background. It changes the mood and the setting. Yeah, the mood. Yes. Can you make a pass? Okay. So, Luke. So, that's how you make this stuff creative. Okay. Make sure you use the snap tool. This is the snap tool right here. This little icon right here. Make sure that's on. If it's on, it snaps things in place. See that yellow line? See how it snapped? Snap. So if I had a graphic that I want, to make sure it doesn't lead into something else, like for example, let me show you one of them. This lower third that I made for her. I don't want it to be still on the screen when this text right here that says Bill of Rights come in. I want it to snap into place. Okay? That's how you make sure it snaps into place. Everybody got that? Anyone still lost about that? All right. These are tools to help you guys, so please listen and pay attention. We talked about that. Here's some creative tips. Write these down. What make it creative? How can I make my piece creative? Here you go. Have visuals. Thank you, ma'am. Have visuals. Different camera angles. Some of you have been doing that in your stuff. Different camera angles, different camera shots, movement, camera movements. Try it. I haven't taught you how to do it, but try it. Try and do a slow zoom. Adding video transitions. Adding sound effects. So adding video transition and adding sound effects. Adding pictures and graphics. And then last but not least, adding music. Adding music. That's going to make your piece creative. If you do some of those things, I promise you, you'll get a 28 every single time.